Hi, I'm David Allen Lambert, and I am here with Terry O'Connell. We are your virtual historians. Welcome to another episode where we explore things in history with a different set of eyes, sometimes through a VR headset. Today, we're going to talk about some websites that we've found very useful. Primarily, it's YouTube. You probably use it all the time. And what we're going to do is explore sort of traveling back in time. Some of them you really benefit by having a VR headset, and some of them you can just watch on your computer screen or your tablet or your phone. Enjoy a little bit of a stroll through the past. So, Terry, why don't we take them onto a little bit of a time travel trip using current technology?
I love it. Let's do it.
Okay. Well, I'm going to start off with the first historical event that I can say that I was witness to, not that I really remember it at 3 weeks old, and that's man landing on the moon in July of 1969. I was a mere 3 weeks old when man landed on the moon. Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin made a captivating audience around the world reach for the stars. And of course, now we have the technology with commercial space flights, and I think people are looking at this with a different set of glasses. But if you want to watch the Apollo 11 mission, you can actually see a great little video clip, all done by computer animation, but it's overlaid, Terry, with great sound bites of what was actually happening. So you can watch that whole Apollo 11 mission virtually, and it's really cool. It's on YouTube, and of course all of the links we're talking about you'll be able to find at the end of this video.
That sounds really cool. That was before my birth, so maybe I'll go watch it.
There you go. And everything beyond this is before I was born, so I'm going to stop it right there on things that I can relate to. I mean, even I was going to say maybe watching a video on Woodstock, I'd be a couple of months old, but I figured that 1969, that's probably the key event, was probably the Apollo landing. Terry, the next video I found, which is a VR experience in 360, I was a little, I don't know, I should say, moved to the point of tears because it was Auschwitz. And of course, we all know when you mention Auschwitz, World War II, the Nazi death camp, this concentration camp, is someplace that's, as a historian, been on my bucket list to want to visit out of respect. And I think that was my same motivation to want to watch this video on YouTube. It's an English version of a tour, and it actually has 3 survivors that talk, and they're actually there explaining certain things that went on. I don't think it's going to leave a dry eye in the room. It's such a heavily emotional video to watch. You're seeing the sights and all the buildings, and I really, I think you really have to watch it to understand it. And if you haven't been there before, this may be a way of either preparing or at least giving you that experience of being there. Maybe it's something you don't want to go see because of how horrific this chapter of history was. But that being said, it should never be forgotten. The countless millions that perished at Auschwitz and other places like Bergen-Belsen and Dachau. These are places that are just an absolute, I don't know. It's hard for me to kind of express. It's mind-blowing to think that humans could be so cruel to actually another human. But this is just a perfect example. And these buildings weren't all leveled, and they're there sort of as a reminder and a memorial. What's your thoughts on Auschwitz and places like that, Terry? I mean, I know that we've talked a bit about World War II before.
So I will tell you this. Auschwitz is definitely on a place I'd like to see. I did actually start that video when I started making my list over a month ago of links to share, and I couldn't watch it.
I had to stop it a couple of times. I did finally watch it through, but yeah, it's kind of like As a historian, it's like you have that interest and you need to know. I mean, it's not a morbid curiosity because I mean, I actually knew people that were, who survived the Holocaust growing up, and you hear about it and you see the photographs, but to see it as a 360. Now, mind you, I did not watch it on a headset. I watched it on my computer screen. I don't know if I could be fully immersed to be there.
No, I don't think I could. I've talked to people who have gone, and they've said it's definitely something you have to see, you have to experience, just what was there.
Yeah.
And I think that's all I can say is I definitely need to go, but I couldn't watch the video. I did try.
Well, I think the next one you have is more related to some individuals from a variety of different countries around the world and has a genealogical slant to it, which is Ellis Island. So I'll let you tell us about that.
So, what's funny is I don't think I have anybody that came through Ellis Island, but I'm fascinated by it. When we went to New York years ago, it was the one place like you had to see. We did not get off the ferry to see the Statue of Liberty. I was fine seeing her in the harbor. But I had to get off and walk through Ellis Island, and it was just an amazing day to go and do that. So Ellis Island in 360, it walks you through the rooms. It shows you where they kept people that had to stay because they weren't cleared to go into the States. Definitely well worth the watch. I don't remember how long it was, but I think as an American, if you have family who have come through Ellis Island, it's definitely worth that watch for the genealogists out there.
Yeah, I don't have any personal ancestry that came in. Most of mine that came into the United States that late came in through Boston, came in down through Canada by the night ferry. So we didn't have that sort of Ellis Island experience, if you will. However, my daughter's great-great-grandfather came over from Scotland to Ellis Island. So I hope to bring them sometime so they can kind of experience it. So I indirectly have an Ellis Island ancestor by marriage. So, well, that's great. That should be a great one to do. You mentioned about going into New York Harbor, and soon we're going to be doing that next year on something a little bit more luxury liner than maybe what your ancestors may have arrived in Ellis Island. So, Terri, why don't you give them a little bit of insight on our 2 cruises for 2022 that we hope that you're aboard with us?
So first, let's talk about the transatlantic, because that's the one I think that I'm most excited for. We are going to be aboard the Enchanted Princess, and this goes from September the 2nd of 2022 through September the 17th. It starts in Copenhagen, and it ends in New York City. So how great will that be to go into the New York Harbor?
Sure, see yeah, you're right, to see the Statue of Liberty and know that you're not going to have to go through Ellis Island.
Right.
Yes, exactly. We'll have our passports, right? Yeah, no, that's really exciting. I think I've always had a bucket list of going transatlantic, and I know that we were talking about after we did the Canadian cruise a couple of years back, how fun it would be to actually bring people who may have never gone on the water the same route that their ancestors did. And so we're going to have some stops in between.
Yes, we have a lot of stops.
So what countries are we hitting on this cruise?
So we're starting in Amsterdam. We're hitting Norway. We're going into Northern Ireland and then the Republic of Ireland. And then
I just thought of something. Islands. We're going to be in Ireland for the centennial, aren't we? 1922 to 2022.
Just gives me goosebumps.
That's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing.
Yes.
So I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I wanted to point that historical factoid out. So.
Yes. And that, we'll have to look at dates, see how close we are. And then we go into the Azure Islands. So the rest of the time, it's all at sea. So there's a lot of time for learning. Our goal right now is not to do full day of learning on each sea day, but maybe like a half a day and have some fun, enjoy the ship, because there's so much to do. Personally, on Princess Cruises, the last one I was on, they had trivia 3 times a day.
Love to do some historical trivia and get a team of our own people together to
I will
tackle
tell
those
you,
questions.
when I did the Celtic cruise, we won one night. So we did get a bottle of wine or bottle of champagne for winning, which we took to dinner and, you know, shared it very quickly, glass for everybody. There's just so much stuff to do on the ship, and really it needs to be looked as its own destination. A lot of people get there, they get on and they think, I'm going to these ports and I have to see everything, but they're not thinking about the ship itself being its own destination.
Right.
With all these great things to do. So I think it's a great way to come out and meet your virtual historians. Dave and I are quite fun.
It should be a blast, and I hope that some of you will take advantage of this, and Terry will give you all the links to find out more at the end.
It'll all be
exactly. And this isn't the only time we're going on the water in 2022. We're going to be doing that a few months before in the spring. Correct. And why don't we tell them about who's going with us on that one and what that one is all about? So
in the spring, we're doing the Caribbean. It's going to be a 1-week trip. It leaves May the 7th out of Fort Lauderdale, goes to the Grand Cayman, Rarotonga, Belize, Cozumel, and then back to Fort Lauderdale. This one we are doing with Gen Friends. So if you're a genealogist, maybe you're watching Sherry Hudson Passey's Gen Friends. They get together weekly with a YouTube show discussing what's going on in genealogy. So Sherry, Dan Earl, and Laura Hedgecock will be joining us from there. We'll be talking about genealogical records, sharing your family stories, and I believe a little bit of methodology in our learning. And those will be full day learnings while we're at sea. Any port day is yours. Go do what you want, see these different islands and enjoy yourself. Get out there and enjoy the sun.
2022 is going to be a great year. I know 2021 is shaping up to be better. A lot of people are traveling. I know that you've got some travel plans yourself, and myself and my family are planning on heading off to some destinations. And we were actually just traveling around New England this past week. So how better way of traveling than by cruise ship and hanging out with genealogists and historians. So come on aboard.
I think a good thing to mention here too, Dave, is that in 2022, most of the genealogical learning is still going to be virtual.
It's true. Even Roots Tech.
So, I mean, Roots Tech just said they're going to go virtual, all virtual for next year. So if you're really looking to get out of the house, to get some in-person learning, there's not many options yet for 2022. So these 2 cruises, both on Princess Cruise Lines, are a good time to come, rub elbows, meet some people, learn a little bit, travel, see things. And I've actually started pulling together a list of the archives in different ports, so that if you have any Caribbean ancestors or anybody in the ports we're going to on the transatlantic, so that you'll be able to go pull whatever you need to pull record-wise and see what you can learn there about your ancestors that you might not be able to learn from home.
Excellent. Well, come on aboard with us and not have it be virtual. Have it be in person, as VR historians and genealogists alike unite.
As Julie, the cruise director, and all her friends on Love Boat said, come aboard, we're expecting you.
It's true. Well, let's get back to our list here. Well, we touched base in the 1890s, of course, when Ellis Island opened up. And we're going to stick with the 19th century for our next listing for VR history. And this one I really enjoyed after you sent me the link, because I used to be a reenactor. So why don't you tell them what you found?
So this one is the Civil War 1864, a virtual reality experience. And I'm gonna be honest, I knew you were a Civil War buff, but it was just really interesting and it caught my eye. And I thought, I'm definitely got to add that. Just because it is such a big part of US history. I mean, it's not like we had many wars fought on our soil, right? So it's a huge one. And to be honest, I had family on both sides of the war. So
I was just giving you the common courtesy because you've had both sides, whereas I only have a Union veteran. So I thought that you could represent both sides of the story.
Well, what's funny is I'm from Chicago, so I'm definitely a Northerner. We're Yankees through and through, right?
Oh yeah.
I have one Union and the rest are Confederate.
I won't hold that against you. If I was a Civil War reenactor and you're on the other side, I can't tell you that I would act accordingly. Well, let's go to the next century, back to the 18th, and one that we can all relate to, except for part of my ancestry, which were loyalists during the American Revolution. So, Terry, why don't you introduce this next video?
So the next one's called VR Field Trips USA, and it starts at Independence Hall in Philadelphia. I don't know about you, but standing outside looking at Independence Hall, you got the Liberty Bell right there, like it just gives me tingles. And I actually had family in that area at that time.
Oh.
So I don't know, it gets me all, the emotions going. But this one is, and I know we haven't talked about who's put out every video that we've talked about. It'll be in the blog post, but this one was put up by Pen Pal Schools. So I think what they're doing is they're doing VR videos for homeschoolers. So this one, it starts in Independence Hall, but it goes to DC, and I think it ends in New York, and it's like a 4-minute video. It's our history.
That's great. Well, that brings me to the video that I'm going to talk about, which my ancestors are actually at. That was on the Battle Road in Lexington and Concord, of course, April the 19th, 1775. And when the British were retreating back to Boston, many militia units from across Massachusetts and even other New England states came on the call that the British basically were coming. And the British did. And they went to Lexington and Concord, but they retreated on the Battle Road back to Boston. This video is a 360 experience and shows the reenactment of many of the different battle scenes that you would have probably seen at that point in time. And it gave me kind of a chill as a reenactor for the Civil War, but to know that my ancestor fought there. And again, this is the Battle Road, the American Revolution in 360 VR. And again, something, if you're a parent and you want to watch any of these videos ahead of time before sharing it with your child, do so. I always say it's best to peruse such things. But if you're a young adult or an adult, we kind of throw out things that may be a little sensitive. I'd mentioned about how heart-wrenching it was for me to watch the Auschwitz video, that I wouldn't watch it in 360. It just would have been too much. The Battle Road experience, if you have problems with gunfire or sounds like that, wearing a VR headset, it might be a little bit too much. I was able to do it pretty well, but again, I was a Civil War reenactor, so I'm kind of used to the sounds of black powder guns going off around me. And the last one is a battle, but it doesn't involve guns, and it's about 900 years before the Battle of Lexington and Concord. And I'll let you tell us about that one.
So the next one is the 360 Viking Battle. And let me tell you why I picked this one. Most of them are VR that's been redone, it's computer animated. This is people who choose to live the Viking lifestyle and they will tell you, they start off saying, we are not reenactors. This is our life. And I just thought it was the coolest thing ever to see them.
So are these people that are actually going out with axes, going village by village?
Well, not village by village, but they're having their own little wars.
Right. Hopefully they're not really trying to be a Viking and kill the next village. But, and of course, one thing about the Vikings that a lot of people don't understand, that, people who have Viking heritage, if you're from the UK, say everybody thinks they were just, pillaging and plundering. Some of them actually set up cities and communities and places like that. But the battle sounds interesting. I don't know if I'm going to put my non-politically correct Viking helmet on with the horns that I bought at Epcot Center and watch it with my headset, but I might do it and take a picture. All right. Well, that gave a little bit of a glance through time. And again, don't forget, we've got 2 cruises coming up in 2022. And of course, the Vikings having that connection to Norway. And other parts of the UK. Maybe you might want to retrace the steps of your Viking ancestors all the way up to your ancestors coming across the transatlantic vessels to the New World and getting off in New York City. And maybe you might head over to Ellis Island. All right, well, that's what we have for you from Virtual Historians for this episode. And don't forget, you can find out more at virtualhistorians.com. I hope that you're enjoying the summer, and I have a special message from Terri to let you know what's going on with us in the coming months.
So we just wanted to make sure that we shared that the next few months, our episodes are going to be a little sporadic. We're hoping every other week. There's no guarantee. It's important to note that our archaeologist friends are out there actually working right now, right? The weather's prime for it. They're out there digging and seeing what they can find. And hopefully we'll have a lot more people like Professor Stone come back in the next season to tell us what they did over the summer. So in the meantime, while we're sharing our videos that we like with you, we're also going to be doing some background work, getting the website up to par, so it's a little more seamless to go through, maybe looking at redoing our logo gear and things like that, so that we have some more stuff ready as the next season starts. So just be patient with our sporadic posting through the summer.
Well, that's great. And we really do appreciate you tuning in, and do share our videos and the links. And again, if you have a story yourself, if you're an archaeologist or you dabbled in VR or history, we'd love to hear your story and have you as a guest. So please be in touch with us. And again, all of the links from today's videos will be available for you in the blog that Terri had mentioned earlier. Well, until next time, we're virtually yours, signing off.
For those of you watching on YouTube, remember you can also find us on the audio podcast of your choice. Currently, we can be found on Anchor, Breaker, Castbox, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Casts, Radio Public, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Stitcher. And for those of you listening on audio, remember you can always find the full video recording on our YouTube channel. And if you like this episode, please feel free to leave a comment on the website or on YouTube. As always, you can find us at virtualhistorians.com. You can email us at info@virtualhistorians.com. And we ask that you please like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Thank you.